and type in extreme ownership. It's like 15 minutes, and you'll walk out of that conversation just like, whoa. If you think like you're doing everything possible to kind of get to where you want to be at, you watch that video and you're just like sit back in your seat and just go like, wow, there's a lot more that I can do. But it's basically, this whole premise is that everything you do, you got to take ownership with. And again, it's not me preaching up here. Like I'm so self-aware where everything that I do, I'm always blaming myself if something goes wrong. And whether it's business related, client related, something like this. Like if I was late today, I wouldn't come in and tell her like, hey, there was traffic. Hey, I couldn't find parking. I'd just be like, hey, I messed up. I should have been here on time. Like that's to a point where it should be. You guys walk in here like, don't even give her an excuse. Just, hey, I messed up. I won't let it happen again. There's been interns where they come in late and I just look at them. They give me an excuse. They give me this, and I'm just like, no, just don't let it happen again. Like, I know things happen. But again, you gotta take ownership. Everything you do, if you don't get a good grade on your test, like I know I've been in your seat. Sometimes it's like, you didn't tell me that this was gonna be on your on the test, blah blah blah. It's like, no, like I didn't study hard enough. Like it's on me. So like have that mindset, because I promise you, you'll hopefully look back on in 10 years from this day and look back on this talk and be like, like he was dead on, because that's how I felt. I'm out there watching that video, reading his books. You start to take ownership for everything you do, anything like. Really, like when if something bad happens with our trainers, something I didn't explain to them the pricing structure correctly, and they messed up and they didn't get a sale. Instead of me telling them, oh man, you should have learned it, you should have. It's like, no, like I didn't teach you it correctly. That's my bad. Right? Something happens, like just get in the habit of taking ownership. No excuses. Just, man, it's my bad. Don't let it happen again. That type of mindset will take you far, and people will appreciate that. Like you are working, I promise you, she probably gets excuses all the time for why something didn't happen. Like you just come up here and be like, hey, I messed up, it won't happen again. She'll just like, wow, like cool. Like again, it's just having that mindset. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of list a few things of how to take extreme ownership. And again, notice the word extreme ownership. There's different levels to this. If you're just kind of like every now and then taking ownership, it's not the same as extreme ownership. When you watch that video, you'll really know. You can just hear it in his voice what the word extreme means. That means every single thing you do, you own it. You own up to it. So again, I always highlight kind of the word I want you guys to focus on is you are building your personal brand. Even if you want to work in a collegiate setting, in a university setting, private setting, doesn't really matter. Like you're building your brand. Right now, again, social media is so big that like that's your resume. Like when I get interns and I get applications, I look at that first, then the resume. I want to see what they're about. If they're just busy partying and there's pictures, I don't mind people having fun and stuff. But one of my meetings, this is what I do with and you can probably do it once you're out of here, is look at the people that you want to be like. So if that's a coach. There's a coach, you guys know who Lauren Landau is? No? Do you know who he is? Yeah, right. So he's a speed, agility, strength coach in Denver, Colorado. He has his own spot, but like that's what I want to be like. Like I've gone to all the seminars, I've flown to, literally I went 3 years ago, I flew to Colorado to the NCAA headquarters to do a one-day summit. Like I paid the money, again, it was just that impactful where I want to hear this guy speak, went to clinics, all that stuff, but I look at his social media, I'm like, yeah. You look at this guy's social media, you know he's about speed. You know he's about agility. He's about training the best of the best. But if you look at another coach who, they have one post maybe about speed and agility, but then it's boring stuff, the food. It's not that it's not okay to do that, but like look at the people you want to be like that you're following. Look at what they're posting. I'm like, that should be what you should be doing. That's what I always tell my coaches. I'm like, pull out your phone and look at the top 3 people you want to be like. And look at what they're posting and then look at what you're posting and see the differences. There's people on there that are all about giving, knowledge. Like if I'm a parent of an athlete and I see that, why wouldn't you want to train with that rather than someone who occasionally posts something about speed and agility, about strength training, but most of it is just kind of fluff. So again, social media is your brand. That's who you are. So if you need to create like a separate page, more like a business page, then do that. But again, just know that parents, youth athletes, coaches, they're looking at this stuff. So this is super, super powerful stuff. So you are your personal brand. Again, you. So don't blame other people. It's all on you as to what you're posting. How successful you want to be falls on you. Again, nobody else, right? It doesn't fall on her. It doesn't fall on your current boss or anything. It really, at the end of the day, falls on you, and that's about taking that extreme ownership. how much money you make, again, falls on you, right? It's how much you willing to sacrifice, willing to put in the work. Are you willing to take jobs that you probably don't, want because they don't pay that much? Quick story. I had an intern who he was kind of like a shorter duration intern, but I offered him a job, and I was going to pay him X amount of dollars, and he looked at me and he was just like, "Wait, that's too low." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And so this is someone that just barely got certified, doesn't have a degree, and it was just more like I was literally like offended by it. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I was okay with it, because to me it's like, hey, everything's negotiable. Like it's okay. Like if you're going for an internship and you can negotiate getting paid for it, like that's okay. Everything. One of my clients once told me, he's like, you don't ever get paid what you deserve. You get paid when you negotiate. Mm-hmm. And there's people that probably don't deserve to get paid a certain amount, but they negotiate. They got it. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's okay to negotiate. But to me, it was why he was doing it. He just wasn't. He thought he was entitled to more money, and I was like, no. Like you're getting paid X amount, because at the end of the day, like I'm gonna spend a lot of time training you, and whether you want to be here for a long period or not, like you're gonna get a lot out of this, more than just the hourly rate. And it was just one of those things where, to me, it was a perspective of like, yeah, I'm kind of glad that it didn't end up working out. But again, it's not a bad thing. You guys got to learn to negotiate. This is a business, and I'll put something on here. It's okay to make more money. It's okay to ask for money. Money's not a bad thing if you can negotiate it. Like it's all good. If your friend is doing an unpaid internship and you're getting something out of it, that's kudos to you, because you negotiated. So everything, again, you're not paid what you deserve. You're paid what you negotiate. Remember that quote. It's pretty practical to the real world. Your actions directly reflect your outcome. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. What you do speaks louder than what you say. So a lot of times people say they're going to go to conferences. People say they're going to do extra work and then never show up. I have a lot of people that email me and say they want to come in and shadow, never show up. So to me, it's just actions speak louder than words. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And again, you're going to make mistakes. It's okay if it doesn't come up right the first time, but just be willing to put yourself out there. And again, actions. Like think of like the company Uber, right? So Uber wasn't, the guy that started Uber wasn't the first person that thought of that idea. There was someone else that actually had that idea before him, years before him. And they had the perfect idea, everything was set, the business plan, but they never took action. This guy came in, started the app, started to put it into play, took over, right? And it was just one of those things where it was the first one to that idea, he was just the first one to act on it, and again, took advantage, and the other guy's super bitter, but it's like, you didn't do nothing with your idea, right? An idea is just an idea without action. It's not a business. If you're relying on others to hand you success, it's the ultimate insult to them. Like, I'm here to tell you, like, I've been in your shoes where I just want to go and, again, pick somebody's brain, but going back to that story about my high school intern, this is how good he was. So this kid is 17 years old. He came in because he's doing a project on prevention of concussions in sports. Okay, and he came up. He emailed me like on a Wednesday. He's like, "Hey, coach, I want to introduce myself. This is what I'm doing. Can I come in and speak to you about this and maybe give you some guidance?" So I purposely didn't email them back. Actually, no, I'm sorry. On Wednesday, I emailed them back like, "Hey, give me a summary as to what you need from me." And then he emailed me on Friday. He's like, "Hey," he emailed me the response, and then he emailed me like, "Hey, can I come in on Monday and come in and talk to you?" And I purposely didn't email him back because I wanted to know if he would email me back with like a sense of urgency. And I swear, there's people that email me, and I'll do that, and I'll never hear back from them. And to me, that just tells me they're not diligent. They don't really want it. So Monday morning, high school student, I think it's like 9 a.m., puts together a solid email. And he checks his grammar, everything is. He's just, "Hey, coach, just wondering if I can still come in today." And to me, I'm like, whoa, like this is a 17-year-old kid who wants it that bad. So whatever, I brought him in, met him for the first time, just mind blown. And so he tells me, "Hey, is it okay if I do internship hours and come in and just sit down and talk to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." And he's like, "How much would you charge me?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, like I want to pay you. I want to buy sessions from you and just sit down and talk." This 17-year-old kid comes from like a lower income family. Literally, without me even telling, he understood the value of what I would do for him, that he was willing to pay for me. And I seriously I even wrote like a whole Instagram story about this experience. I'm like, this is just the kid that I would hire in a heartbeat, even if he didn't have the degree, the certifications. It's just his mindset. He knew that it wasn't just, hey, I'm gonna come in and eat Jerry's fruits that he spent 10 years watering, giving it grass, picking out the weeds, and just take his fruit. It's like, no, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna actually plant some and help you grow your crop, and then we can eat together. So it's just that mindset shift where it's just like, whoa. So that's if you ever want to get some info from like someone who owns a facility or a coach, ask them that you'll pay for their time. I promise you, they'll probably 99% of the time they won't charge you, but they'll bring you in. Because it's just the mindset that you're willing to pay for their time. That's like, wow, this person is extremely serious about what they want from me. All right, so just, again, mindset, all right? Any questions with that or anything like that? What do you guys think about that? I mean, would that be like pretty powerful thing, right? Like for you to get paid for an hour sitting down, he was gonna buy sessions off me. And I swear I was like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, I want to pay you, I want to buy some sessions, all I want to do is talk. Well, again, I have other people who just want to come in and knowing that they're going to steal time away from stuff that I can be doing on the business, they just want to pick my brain. And every now and then I'm cool with sending some emails. If it's a quick, like, hey, do you have any articles on lifting for females or whatever? Like, yeah, I'll send them out some articles and links, but it's just more having the mindset that you're willing to pay for somebody's time because, again, they invest a lot in themselves and you're just trying to compensate them for what you're going to get out of them. Okay. You don't have to be right to be successful, right? I'm sorry, you don't have the right to be successful. Success is earned. So it's just, again, it's one of those things, kind of touching back to the stories before, is it's not just like that you're right because you have a degree that you're going to come out of here and land the perfect job. It's like it's got to be earned. And it's going back to the mountain, those two pictures is one of them, this guy earned it by training probably years and years to get up to Mount Everest or whatever mountain that was. This person paid a couple $100, took on a helicopter, went up to the mountain, and they both going to post the same picture on their social media, but one person legit earned it, the other person just kind of took the easy way up there, right? Just having that perspective. And this is a quote: I have nothing in common with lazy people who blame others for their lack of success. Great things come from hard work and perseverance, just no excuses. And it just, I don't know if you guys ever heard that quote by Conor McGregor about success. Have you guys heard of it? You look it up. It's a great quote. It talks about something about like it's like there's no I don't know if it's genetics. I don't want to butcher, but look up, just type in Conor McGregor and type in success quote. It's just like whoa, some powerful stuff there. Okay, so let's kind of start to wrap things up, but we'll answer some questions at the end. So kind of my advice, my takeaway from you guys is make an impact. And impact could mean 100 things, right? It could be different for me than you, but somehow as you get older, you realize like if you look on my social media, most of my stuff that I post is about other people. I don't post my workouts, I don't post stuff there's some stuff that I'll post if I'm at a clinic, but it's mainly just to maybe inspire someone that maybe follow me, someone younger, like, man, he still goes to clinics. Like, I still go to, like, really, really basic clinics. I go to Perform Better. These things ain't cheap, but I'll invest money in that, and it's just because I want to show my coaches that I might have a master's degree, have X amount of experience, that there's a lot of coaches who are just like, nah, I don't need that information. But to me, I'm always willing to learn from other people. After the clinics are over, I always go up to the speakers and talk to them. Like, hey, do you have any advice as far as me moving into, like, I went to a clinic here this past year, and there was a guy who was talking about, it was the business of personal training or something like that. And I went up to him, we had like a 10-minute conversation about, I was like, hey, I'm planning to move out. Do you have any recommendation? And he's like super willing to talk to me about, the legal stuff, the leasing, all that stuff. It was just one of those things where I may have gotten nothing out of it. Maybe I knew everything already that most people presented, but that little nugget that I got out of him as far as 10 minutes of talking to him about the business of transitioning to a new, it was worth the $300 that I paid. Okay? So it's one of those things you got to know where your investments are going and be willing to invest and again, make an impact however that may be. Find a mentor. Again, this is one of those things where it doesn't have to be in the field, right? The guy that's my mentor, there's two of them. They're both real estate people. One's a business guy, the other guy's kind of he's an entrepreneur on his own. Like, these are my mentors that, like, I can get so much out of them from a business standpoint than I could get from, just reading a textbook and things like that. Because this is real world experience. So find a mentor that, and again, sometimes you're going to go up to someone, you're going to think they're the most awesome human being, and they might not be. They might be someone that you thought that was super nice, and they're not the nicest person in the world. So it's okay to find someone else. You don't have to stick to, if you guys don't mesh, like, it's okay, but find someone that, again, going back, it's going to hold you accountable. I think I have it on it, but find someone that you can look up to and learn from them, and be willing to share ideas and bounce some ideas off of. And there's a lot of like mastermind groups that you guys can join online. You pay a fee. Again, I don't look at it as fee, but it's an investment, and you can literally be emailing and having discussions with people in the field that are people like myself who may own a gym or some Division I coach. So always look for like masterminds online, because there's tons of them, and they all, like, every now and then you guys will all meet and discuss ideas and things like that. Don't chase the money, but again, it's okay to make it. I think one of the things, like when I was in school, I always thought that making more money was a bad thing. I literally thought like it wasn't okay to charge. Like I remember when I was 18, I think I got certified, and I worked for the city, and we had a little gym that I worked at, and I used to charge clients $10 for a training session, and I thought like I was overcharging them, right? I literally felt guilty charging someone $10, and I think as a trainer, as a coach, especially in the private sector, there's this misconception that like it's bad to charge people money for a service that you're offering. The way I look at it is like they're not paying just for the training session. They're paying for the time that I spent or you spent in those seats, paying tuition, coming to school while your friends might be doing something else, partying, going to things, going on vacation. So you gotta have that mindset shift that like it's okay to make a good living. Like it's not a bad thing. Again, going back to that negotiation, but it's, again, you can't chase it. At some point, you're gonna learn that if you don't chase it, it usually finds you in some way, right? But again, it's get away from that mindset that it's a bad thing to make a good living doing what you love. You have to charge for what you're offering. You know, again, going back to that client that trainer that I worked with, who didn't really have the education, but she was so passionate. She was making a great living without a degree, but it was just, she loved what she did, and she knew her value. She knew that she was going to get that client extreme results, right? And so she had no problem charging what she charged, and she made a good living, right? Make mistakes, but just learn from them. I think a lot of times and again, myself included, we get so caught up into trying to develop the perfect plan, the perfect training program, perfect everything, and then we kind of miss out on the lesson that maybe making a mistake will teach you. Again, opening up the business, so we were 6 months into, so I ran my gym totally by myself, no intern, no coach, for a year and a half. So I did everything. And 6 months into our lease, the air conditioner broke, right? The center, and this is like during the summertime, and it gets pretty hot. So what happened was, I know the owner of the building. How much will we have time?
For a second.
Okay. I know the guy that owns the building. Like, hey, the air conditioner's not working. Like, can you send someone out? And like his reply was, he sent me a screenshot of the lease saying that it's after, I think it was like 4 months or X amount of days, it's completely my responsibility. Like he just like, that was his response. And to me, I was like, what? Like, this is not my building. Like, he wants me to replace this HVAC that costs thousands of dollars. And I'm like, what do I do, right? And then what happens is I call my mentor, who's a real estate. I'm like, hey, this is the situation. Can you send someone else? So there's someone out. So he brought someone in, goes upstairs or goes on top of the roof, and he's like, hey, there's some bad news. He's like, he took a picture. It's my building or my unit, and then there's 3 other smaller units. And he's like, when he renovated this whole place, he replaced all 3 of the other new ones with brand new ones. And the one that I'm stuck with was like 25 years old. So he replaced all 3 of them. And again, it was that learning. Eventually, I still had to pay. I'd have to pay. It was like a $10,000 unit, but we negotiated something where it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But it was one of those things. It was a learning moment where I relied on the leasing agent to look at the lease, and I didn't negotiate that. That could have been something that I wrote in the lease where I'm like, hey, give me 2 years or whatever. Or I didn't even go to inspect it, where all 3 units had brand new units. Energy conserving units. Mine was using a lot of energy because it was 25 years old. So it was one of those things where I learned from that. Now that I'm moving out, best believe that I'm going to make sure I read the lease. I'm going to negotiate everything, my leasing terms. I'm going to expect it. I'm going to pay someone. I'm going to invest in someone to come in and inspect the unit because I'm not going to make that mistake again, right? So it was just something that I learned from my mistake. It could have been really bad. Luckily, it wasn't. But just something that, again, don't be afraid to make those mistakes. I mean, it can cost you, but just learn from it, right? We're all going to make mistakes. So read. I mean, this is probably the best advice I I can give you all is read, and that doesn't mean just books, but it could be a podcast, it could be YouTube. To me, I have Audible. I physically like looking at the book because I take notes, but the Audible just comes in handy when I'm driving. I was literally listening to a podcast coming on the way over here. So actually, let me ask you guys, let's see, what are your guys' favorite podcasts? It can be anything. I always like to get recommendations. Any recommendations you guys? Which one?
Joe Rogan Experience.
All right, I like that one.
Having good
Yeah, he's good. He has some good guests. He had Dr. Galpin not too long ago. Yeah.
That was cool.
What else? Any other podcasts? Recommendations? Yeah.
This American Life.
Which one?
This American Life. It's like an NPR one.
Okay. Miss American Life?
This.
Oh, This American Life. Okay. Anything else? It could be any topic. I need some recommendations. No? You guys listen to podcasts or no? Yeah, man. Man, I have if you guys want to email me, I forgot to put it on the slide, but I have a list of podcasts, both science related and leadership related, that literally it's an addiction. Like I can listen to this stuff while I'm working out, which is kind of weird, but it's just, I love, again, information, but just be careful because sometimes you get so much information that you don't actually apply it. So there's something where I got super addicted to this stuff, and I was noticing, and I learned it from another podcast. It's like you listen to too much of this stuff, you get too much information, and then you don't actually apply it. So just be careful with that. But read. Actually, let me do this. There's another giveaway. It's gonna be a tough one, but can anyone guess what do you guys know who Dale Carnegie is? Yeah. So who can name his most famous book?
How to Win Friends.
Man, that's a lot. What do you want? Bag, hat, sticker, or a large tank top?
I will take a bag.
Hey. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Okay, so read more, and learn about business. Okay. Again, going back to that first slide, one of the first ones about you're an entrepreneur, whether you like it or not. You're your own business. Like you are, whether you want to build a brick and mortar business like I did, you want to do an online thing. You are your business. Learn the ins and outs of an entrepreneur. Learn again who you want to be like. Reach out to them, see what they're reading, and there's always people that I follow that are always giving book recommendations. And literally, did you see my Instagram story about the book?
Yes.
They learned so.
Yeah.
Did you buy the book?
No.
Oh man! So I posted on my Instagram story. It was that book. So I was like, all right. I was having this conversation with that intern, that 17-year-old intern, where I gave him that book recommendation, and he literally took out a piece of paper and wrote it down, the name, took it with him, and I was like, man. So then I go on my Instagram story. I was like, hey, if I told you there was going to be a book that would change your life, like, or I think I gave a recommendation, something like, this book will change your life, and I posted the name of the book, and then I went on to talk about kind of the story of the intern, and then like after like 10 slides, I posted something like, so who remembers the name of the book that I recommended 10 stories ago? And it was just that perspective, like the people that are going to be successful reading that story are the ones that saw that book that I told them, like, it will change your life, and actually went on Amazon right then and there and went to go buy. Like, that's the person that, if one of my mentors told me, like, hey, this will change your life, I will stop what I'm doing, put that book in my cart on Amazon, and I would get it delivered the next day. That's how obsessed I am with getting better. But people probably read that, just a book. But I'm literally telling you this book will change your life, and you're not willing to like spend $15 to get this book. So like, do you guys know who Warren Buffett is? Who is he?
I've heard his name.
His name? Anyone know like what he does? Yeah.
I know he does real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes a lot of money.
So yeah, he's probably the top 3 richest man in the world. Older gentleman, but like he donates I think 90% of his wealth to charity. But anyway, so this guy, so like if I told you, if I was like, hey, I can bring Warren Buffett. So again, he's an investor. Smart is one of the most intelligent people on this earth. I was like, hey, I could bring Warren Buffett in here and teach everyone in this room how to invest their money. Like, would you guys all show up? Yes or no? So top 3 richest man in the world. Yeah. Would you guys show up, right? So if I told you he has a book that told you, literally teaches you how he did it, would you go buy that book? So that's the mindset is like, most people will be like, yeah, I would show up. I'm like, he has a $15, $20 book on Amazon that teaches you how he did this, but yet nobody's willing to spend the money, spend the time to read this book that's literally teaching you how he did this. So it's having that mindset of, books are so powerful because everyone that's extremely successful, they're literally writing in these books how they became successful. So you have to be willing to invest the money. And like I'm literally to the point where he holds a clinic. It's a 1-day, like 5-hour workshop in Nebraska, where he's from, and it's like $500. I'm like, I was listening to a podcast, but I'm gonna look into. I think it's like in March or April, but I'm gonna look into flying out there for 5 hours just to hear this person speak. Because to me, it's like, yeah, it's $1,000 investment for the flight, hotel, all that stuff, but it's worth it to me because this is the guy that literally has done it, most successful investment person on this earth. Why wouldn't you do that, right? So that's what I'm telling you, is having that mindset of books are so powerful because they tell you how these people did this and how they became successful. Traveling. So, what were we at time?
You're 15 minutes.
15, okay. So when I didn't travel hardly anywhere until I'm 32 now. I think I didn't take my first like real trip until I was 28 because I was in school, I was saving my money. So within my business, I didn't take out any loans for my business. I literally saved up every penny I had because I wanted to buy that Kaiser machine. I wanted to pay for it cash, right? But I didn't take out any loans because again, to me, it was like, and I had this misconception about traveling. I thought I kind of lived in the bubble where I just thought like California, USA, there's nowhere else to see, right? This is it. We have everything, right? It was just, my brother was always encouraging me, like, let's go. And I always made an excuse that I couldn't afford it. I didn't have the time. I made every excuse in the world until he got a promotion at his job like 3 years ago. And he's like, hey, I have 2 weeks before, like, I'm not going to be able to go. And he's been traveling this day, he's gone to Vietnam, he's been everywhere already at this point. And he's like, you're coming with me to Europe. Like, I have 2 weeks. And he's like, I'll pay for it. I'm like, no, like, I felt guilty. And I kid you not, like, I had this conversation, like, it was like a Wednesday night, 7 p.m. He called me, I was at the gym. Hung up the phone, I'm like, I was just scared. I was like, there's no value in traveling. Like, what's the point? Like, I've gone to Vegas, but I've been in Mexico, TJ, and things like that. So I literally that night, it was like 9 p.m. I go and I play tennis with one of my clients about twice a week. I go to the courts, and he's like 44 years old, super successful. And I literally walk into the tennis court and I'm like, hey, I need your advice. And he's like, what's up? He's like, and I told him the story about my brother telling me to travel. And he looked at me with this stare like, are you crazy? Like, why wouldn't you want to go? And I'm just like, and I was given every excuse. He's like, no, like, you're going. And again, this is a guy he's a client of mine. I ended up going to Iceland with him a year ago. Like, it was that powerful where, like, just his whole demeanor is like, you're crazy if you don't go. And I went, and we went to, like, Germany, Oktoberfest, and literally I've gone to Europe 4 times. I've gone to Iceland twice in the past 3 years. It was one of those things where now it's an addiction. I just posted something on my Instagram that like I have all these patches, but it's traveling. It's not just a thing to go see the history. It's just you meet the people, you have a different perspective. You come home with a whole new shift in your mindset. Just you appreciate all the stuff you have because you go out there and you'll see some of the happiest people in the world that don't have anything, right? So it's one of those things. This is one thing that I highly encourage. Even if you don't have the money, put it on a credit card, get some points on it, and go. Like, pick somewhere that you're scared to go. Like our first trip, me and my brother, first time he went to Europe, we went straight to Germany. We were going to Oktoberfest on day one. We ended up going to get to Germany. It was like, I don't know, 11 p.m. on the train. We had no clue where we were at. We were trying to find our hostel, and we're looking at the map, and we're completely, everything's in German. It was one of those vulnerable situations where you're just like, there's no one to call. Your phone doesn't work, because we didn't activate our phone just yet. And we're just like, whoa, and then this guy just comes up to us, and the German guy just starts talking, he starts to help us. He's like, oh yeah, you take this train to here, you get off in this, and super, it was just like that perspective where, I may have had a misconceived notion of who these people are, but it's like they're willing to help this guy, random guy, 11 o'clock at night, and those situations, like I look back and I'm like, man, like I'm kind of proud of myself that we figured it out, and that's what traveling does. It puts you in vulnerable situations where you're just like, yeah, this is kind of scary because you can't call anyone, right? And you figure things out. Like you're gonna figure your way. You're gonna figure how to get to your place you gotta go to. You'll find a way, and then you'll come back home and be like, man, like you have more confidence in yourself. I think that's what happened to us. It built a lot of confidence because, again, you're just problem solving. That's basically what we do in everyday life is you solve a problem, right? So you just figure it out. So I highly encourage you guys to travel anywhere. It doesn't really matter. And if you want to email me, I have a lot of tips, travel tips as well. I'll shoot you my itinerary. Raise your level of expectations. I mean, it's one of those things, again, going back to the over-delivering, is I think a lot of times we have very low expectations of ourselves, and it's just a matter of being more self-aware and raising those bad boys to a whole new level, all right? Be accountable, again, going back to finding someone like a mentor to be accountable to. And then raise your self-awareness. And this one's a big one, is just knowing and kind of going back to that extreme ownership situation where it's just knowing what, like, to me, like, I record this, not because I want to post this on YouTube and tell all these people that I came to speak, it's because I'm going to look at this video and I'm going to self-aware. I'm going to become more self-aware. All right. How was my body language? Did I look nervous? Was I kind of, my hands were here, like I looked bored? No, it's like I want to learn what I did right, what I did wrong, so the next time I do one of these talks, like I'm getting better as a speaker. So it's one of those things where becoming more self-aware with everything you do, it's going to help you because it gives you new perspective and you'll reflect. Like after some of my workouts, I'll write down and we program design all that stuff, but I'll look at them like, did I really need to do this with this person, or did I just put that extra as just to kill some time at the end of the workout? Some of the stuff, some of the conditioning stuff, I'm like, did I really need to do this? And again, becoming more self-aware, I'm like, yeah, I probably just could have implemented something different than just putting this just for the sake of putting it there. So we're starting to wrap up. Okay, so you should probably write this down. That's pretty important. Okay, so the first book you guys already know is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This was originally written in, I think, the 1920s, right? And it's been revised, and to this day, it's still like a top seller. It's one of those things where I have one of these copies, I probably gave it to maybe 10 to 15 people already, pass it around, because it's that good. And you'll read this book, and you'll be like mind blown on how easy, well, not how easy, how simple these things are that you're going to learn, but just it takes a lot of practice to implement. One of the things I got out of this, like, all right, who remembers my name?
Jerry.
All right, good. So one of the things they talk about in this book is remember people's names. And one of the things that I used to do, like when people walk into my facility before even like being more self-aware, somebody will introduce themselves and I'll just be like, all right, it goes one ear out the other. I'll talk to them about the gym, blah, blah, and then I'll send them on the way. After reading this book, I was like, wait, if you remember somebody's name, it becomes a lot more personal, right? A lot more personal because, and do this, but when you go to your next restaurant, get the waiter or waitress's name, remember it, order your food, and then at the end, thank them by their name. You'll be mind blown at just how taken back they are. Because it's one of those things where it almost feels like you guys already know each other. And now I do that with people coming in, shake their hand, always give it back my hand, and at the end of the day, I'll be like, all right, thanks for coming in, Rachel. And you'll just be like, wow, like you remember my name. And it becomes so powerful. I promise you, do it when you guys go out to eat. And it's one of those things you'll just do. It's so simple, but yet we tend to forget a lot of this stuff, right? The E-Myth. So this is a book, even though it's about like small businesses, it's applicable to pretty much anything, but it gives you a perspective as to how to be successful as a business or as an entrepreneur. It basically just outlines, and again, basic stuff. There's nothing too fancy in this book. Really basic stuff as to what a lot of businesses do wrong and just how to fix some of that stuff. And it's something that I read this, I don't know, 2 years ago, and I'm still learning how to implement this stuff because it's again, really basic, but hard to implement if you're not self-aware of what you're doing. Back to that book, Extreme Ownership. If you got a chance, he has a cool podcast, but he's been all over YouTube. I think he's been on Joe Rogan too, I'm almost 100% sure. But he just watched that TED Talk and, whoa, 15 minutes review.